Hello everyone, Bruce Harvey Studios here with another video about Kill in Facility 51. Man, it's actually been a minute since I talked about this game. The last video I made about it was about the old versions of the game and such. But now here I am making a video about this game again, and this time it's about it's another weapon showcase. Yes. It's been a minute since I did one of those. I remember the last weapon showcase I did, which was the Fantasmal HMG, whatever it's called. Um, Now I'm gonna be talking about the Golden Mechanized Plaguebringer. Um, so the Golden Mechanized Plaguebringer is a pretty much a late game weapon. And it's a crafting weapon, which means you need ingredients in order to fully craft this thing. Um, I'll explain how you can get this thing, and then I'll explain how the weapon works right afterwards. So, enough talk. Let's talk about how to get the Golden Mechanized Plaguebringer. So, to even get to the crafting room, first off, you need to drop down in this, you need to drop down in the facility. And eventually, you'll see the crafting room thing that you need to press to, in order to use it. You need, like, what, 10k kill coins, in order to access through the crafting room. And to actually be able to get the ingredients you actually need to use two specific craftings. The tier 6 crafting and the tier 5 crafting. So, for the tier 6 crafting, not only do you need 500 million kill coins, but you also need to deal a total of 1 million plus DPS. So, yeah, and you need to go to the tier 6 crafting room in order to craft, the weapons you need in order to craft, the Golden Mechanized Plaguebringer. And of course, you need to eventually enter into Tier 5 crafting, which requires 500 million kill coins and 10 million plus DPS in order to access it. You also need to go to the Tier 5 crafting as well in order to craft another weapon that you need for the Golden Mechanized Plaguebringer. So, in order to craft the Golden Mechanized Plaguebringer, one, you can only access to be able to craft it in the Tier 6 crafting room. And to craft it, you need the Golden Ionic, HMG, and the Plaguebringer. Both of these two weapons that you need are also crafting weapons. So you need to craft the Plaguebringer and you need to craft the Golden Ionic HMG in order to craft the Golden Mechanized Plaguebringer. In order to craft the Plaguebringer, you can only craft it in the Tier 6 crafting room as well. But to craft the Plaguebringer, you need the Fantasmal HMG and you need the GRC of Decease. Yeah. And the Fantasmal HMG is actually a weapon that you can purchase simply from the secret shop, while the GRC of Decease, you actually, disease or decease? I think it says disease. I don't know. You need, okay, the GRC of Decease or disease, that drops off a boss, which I'll get into in a moment. The boss that drops his weapon is, it's Patient Zero's final form. Yeah, it's Patient Zero's final form. And I'll show you, and I'll even tell you how to get to that boss in a moment when you're trying to get that weapon. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about the Plaguebringer and how to craft it. Now, for the Golden Ionic HMG, you can only access the crafter's weapon in the Tier 5 crafting room. To craft the Golden Ionic HMG in the Tier 5 crafting room, you need the Ionic HMG, which drops off the Exo Terminator, and you need the Golden ION Cannon, which drops off the Golden Terminator, which are two bosses which I also show how to get to them. Yeah, so we're going to go over to how to get these weapons you need right now. So first, I'm going to explain how to get the Ionic HMG first. So, first thing you need to do is of course, you need to enter in the facility, and eventually you're going to have to search around inside the facility. You need to keep searching until you find a room with a sign that reads, what is it? Hold on, it's got to get to that point, right? Like, yeah, this red room I just entered in. What's it called? The Mecha Zone? Yeah, so you need to enter in the Mecha Zone, of course. So, of course, you enter in the Mecha Zone, and you gotta keep moving throughout the Mecha Zone. And there really isn't much in the Mecha Zone. It's just hallways with enemies that you also gotta kill. Keep in mind, you do need pretty powerful weapons for the enemies in the Mecha Zone, because they do got quite a good amount of health. Um, Eventually, once you reach towards the Mecha Zone, like once you keep going, you'll eventually reach to the boss, the Exo Terminator. Now, just to keep in mind, the Exo Terminator is a pretty difficult boss. Um, like obviously you need really good gear in order to beat this guy. Once you enter in the arena, that's where you have to fight the Exo Terminator. Once you end up beating the Exo Terminator, that's when he'll drop the weapon you need. One of the weapons you need, the ionic HMG. Like I said, the Exo Terminator is a pretty tough boss unless you have really, really overpowered stuff in order to take him out quicker. As you can see, I'm already fighting the Exo Terminator. Now, to make it fair, I decided to use a weapon that is not going to kill him too quickly, just to make the fight fair, and so the clip is longer. But yeah, eventually, once you beat him, that's when he's gonna drop the weapon you needed, which is this one. Once you finally kill the Exo Terminator, he'll drop the weapon you need, the Ionic HMG, which is a fully automatic laser assault rifle. Now, I know you can't see the weapon drop, but he did drop the weapon. It's just Exo's Terminator's like red explosion aura that's surrounding his dead body afterwards. It's covering the weapon and everything, so it's really hard to see the text of it sometimes. But I'm just letting you know he did drop a weapon. Um, I kind of don't know how much. You obviously need a lot of kill coins in order to use the weapon, like in order to pick it up. I just can't show you how much you need because again, it's hard to see with Exo's Terminator's like exploded red explosion covering the text and such. But all I'm saying is you need a good amount of kill coins in order to gain access to the Ionic HMG. And after that, yeah, you just simply get the weapon. If you got enough kill coins, of course. Now, now I'm gonna show you how to get the golden ION cannon, which is a boss weapon that drops off the golden Terminator. Now, the golden Terminator is technically a secret boss, but let's be honest, you're most likely gonna discover him at some point because he's really easy to find, actually. But yeah, he's a secret boss you can just simply find by simply exploring around the Terminator's arena. Yes, not the Exo Terminator, the Terminator. Yes, you gotta fight the normal Terminator. So, to get to that boss, you just simply gotta enter in the facility, of course, and explore around until you find the robotic zone. Simply go through the halls, and eventually you'll find the Terminator boss arena. Now, you can kill the Terminator if you want to get his boss weapon, but that's like if you're in the early game, of course. Now, if you do explore around, you'll eventually find this vent. Once you drop in the vent, that will gain you access to the boss fight, the Golden Terminator, which is, he's actually a lot more harder than Exo Terminator. Well, basically, he is harder than Exo Terminator. Um, Now, of course, he is a hard boss too. Like, you really need OP weapons in order to take him out. Again, I used weapons. I mean, I did use an OP weapon at one point, but I ended up switching back to like weapons to kill him slowly, just so this clip is longer. But yeah, all you gotta do is just simply kill the Golden Terminator, and eventually he'll drop the Golden ION cannon. And once you beat the Golden Terminator, he will drop the Golden ION Cannon, which costs only 50 million kill coins in order to pick it up. So make sure you got enough kill coins if you want to pick this weapon up. Now, how do you get the Fantasmal HMG? Alright, so I already made a video showcasing the Fantasmal HMG, but I am gonna have to repeat it, of course, for the sake of, well, for the sake of this video. So yeah. So to get the Fantasmal HMG, you of course gotta go into the facility, and of course you eventually gotta explore around. Okay, if you pay close enough attention to the video to where I'm going, you'll kind of figure out where to go, because that's exactly how I'm showing you like how to go to these areas in the first place. But yeah, you eventually explore around the facility until you eventually discover the cave zone, which for early game it's really not that bad, but I do recommend bringing like good weapons against like certain enemies, especially the cave dweller and the fucking one enemy. So once you enter the cave zone, you just simply gotta explore around, and eventually you'll find this weird like dirt wall, and you can just simply face through the dirt wall. Once you face through it, just simply keep going down, and eventually, boom, you will find the secret shop, which is where you can simply find the Phantasmal HMG. The Phantasmal HMG is pretty much the last secret shop weapon that you can unlock. It costs 2 billion kill coins, so it's quite expensive. Not a bad weapon. I mean, it's not a bad weapon, obviously. It's pretty good against mobbing. And it's also pretty good against bosses too. Well, except for like the late game bosses and such. But other than that, pretty good weapon actually. But yeah, that's pretty much how you can get the Phantasmal HMG. I also want to mention another thing too, that if you ever enter in and find the secret shop for the very first time, it will give you a badge. Which means if you have the badge, you can just simply go to the teleport room and just simply go to the secret shop a lot faster now, since you have the badge at this point. If you ever find a secret shop for the first time at least. But yeah, that's all. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how to get the GRC of disease. Um, But yeah, I'm gonna show you how to get the GRC disease from the boss you need to kill. Patient Zero final form. So of course, drop down the facility, explore around, and eventually, once you explore around, you eventually need to look for an area called the experimental zone. Yeah, the experiment zone. And so once you enter the experiment zone, keep in mind you can also enter there early game too to fight some of the two early game bosses as well. Now, once you enter the experimental zone, you want to go to the specific door that I just went into. Keep going up, and eventually you will find these two specific doors. These two doors will lead you to either one of the bosses that you want to fight, obviously. Predator, one of them is obviously the more stronger version of the Predator, and the second one is Patient Zero. Obviously, to get the GRC of disease, you need to kill Patient Zero's final form. Unfortunately, you need 50 million kill coins in order to access to this boss fight. But once you get enough of those kill coins, it will now give you access to fight Patient Zero final form. Now, I'm going to warn you, Patient Zero final form is actually a pretty tough boss. He is he's pretty much one of the very late game bosses that you definitely need OP weapons for. He can regenerate he can regenerate quite quickly, and yeah, he's just a straight up pretty hard boss. You're gonna need OP weapons for this one. But yeah, once you get, overpowered stuff, you can just simply enter in the arena if you got enough kill coins. And of course, you gotta make sure you have a weapon that will kill him fast because, again, he can regenerate and such. Um, Now again, this boss fight is hard, and because he is also quite tanky as well, he also can take a while to kill. Now, once you finally kill Patient Zero's final form, that is when he will drop, what's the weapon called again? The GRC of disease. That is the weapon he'll drop once you kill Patient Zero final form. So there you go. You just simply killed the very hard boss, and once you do, he will drop the GRC of disease. And it costs 100 million kill coins, so you better be a rich fella for this one. Alright, so now that we got the weapons that we need, it's time for crafting, baby! So here I am. I go back to the crafting room, as said before. Now, I actually enter into tier 5 crafting in order to craft the golden ionic HMG. So here I am. I go to tier 5 crafting, and just like that, boom, I cracked the ionic, the golden ionic HMG. And here I am showing off the weapon because I'm awesome. Really nice weapon to look at too. But it's not over yet, as I simply TP back to spawn, and now I go back to the facility just to go back to the crafting room. But this time, I actually enter into tier 6 crafting room so I can craft the Plaguebringer and craft the weapon that we are talking about for this video. The golden mechanized Plaguebringer. So here I am, I craft the regular Plaguebringer, boom. Now, I got the normal Plaguebringer. And here I am, showing off the weapon because I'm peak. And eventually, I get to craft the weapon that we need. The golden mechanized Plaguebringer. Now there's a bit of delay here because I was holding the crafting weapon, but I switch out, boom. Now I got the golden mechanized Plaguebringer, and here I am showing it off because I'm awesome. Okay, so now we actually get to talk about the weapon itself. The golden mechanized Plaguebringer. This one is actually pretty good, actually. It's really OP against enemies, of course, considering it's a late game weapon, and it obliterates the absolute hell out of bosses. Well, except for like Patient Zero Final Form and the Gatekeeper, because those two bosses are just tanky. It is okay against Exo Terminator and Golden Terminator, but against Patient Zero and Gatekeeper, it could take a quite while to kill them with it, especially the Gatekeeper. And we got the event bosses. Well, obviously, event bosses are only in older versions of the game, but yeah. If this thing ever existed in some of the older versions of the game, it'll probably take a long time to kill an event boss with this thing too. Because, event bosses are just straight up overpowered. Um, but yeah, this weapon is really good. It does really good damage. Is it definitely worth getting? Well, yeah, it is, because it is a pretty good weapon overall. Despite the fact that it can't kill, well, okay, you can still technically kill Patient Zero and freaking, Gatekeeper with this weapon. It just takes a while, because these two bosses are very tanky. Especially Gatekeeper, considering this guy has two phases. And plus, Gatekeeper is the final boss of Sector 1. So yeah. But anyways, that's all I really gotta say about the Golden Mechanized Platebringer. Really fun weapon and really strong weapon too. I'm Boost Studios. I will catch you all next time.